gon' bite like vultures.
Hey everybody, it's Lauren and welcome to Caught Up in the Book with Lauren. Here on this channel, we bring you book reviews and more for the culture. Hey everybody, I'm back with a long overdue video. I have a book review for you. This book is titled The Rhythm to a Boss's Heart, and it is by Tatum Jones. So the book description reads as follows. Chanel Warren, a singer looking for her big break, has been dating her manager for the past 3 years. With as many connections as Rico has, it seems that Chanel's career would have taken off quickly. Yet 3 years later, it remains at a standstill, and Rico's womanizing is ever present. When she fires Rico and starts to build a life without him, things finally start to look up for her. Jobias Moore bought a music studio after getting out of prison and leaving the drug game for good. However, his pay-as-you-go format has him put in a financial bind. When the risk of losing the studio comes to a head, he goes out to collect and runs into the fiery, unforgettable singer Miss Chanel. After a tempestuous first meeting, the two run into each other again and bond over a mutual love for music. Jobias extending a helping hand leads to the two becoming friends. For Jobias, it was love at first sight. Chanel is laser focused on her career, but wants Jobias along for the ride. As Chanel's career finally starts to take off, it seems to drive a wedge between the two. Can Jobias play second to the music, or will Chanel find space in her heart for two? So this book came out in January of 2003. It's available on Kindle and in paperback, and I will have a link in the description and or the comment section below. And before we get into the review, I would love it if you would like this video and subscribe to this channel. I know it's been a while since I have uploaded, but I'm back, okay? I'm back. She's back in action. So this book, The Rhythm to a Boss's Heart, introduces us to Chanel and Jobias. We meet the two, and they are both musically inclined. They end up falling for each other in a weird kind of lovers and friends slash workplace romance way. Unfortunately for me, y'all, there was very little chemistry between the characters. Their love story was kind of forced upon us. They went from 0 to 100 real quick, like really, really quick. We meet Chanel, and she's initially in a relationship. I think her and her boyfriend Rico were living together at the time, and then they break up, and then you know she falls in love, and then she halfway moving with that man. It was 0 to 100, okay? And not in a like a passionate, ooh, we just so in love way, just in a kind of bland, I guess, very blah, just moving right along type of way. And honestly, I was a little disappointed after I finished the book because I feel like the book could have been so much better. It could have been a much better, a decent book if the author kind of stuck with the flow of the love story versus trying to introduce other storylines into the story. I understand that you kind of have to have a little bit of extracurricular material in the book, but I feel like you got to have the one thing solid before you can start adding to the conversation. And she didn't have the love story solid before she started introducing us to the other storylines and other characters and things like that. I feel like her characters overall lack character development. We were told a little about them. We know they both like music, but I feel like the overall character of how they came to be we kind of missed that. It was underdeveloped, and a lot of her storylines that she unfortunately tried to introduce and force on us, they were incomplete. It was just like a big question mark. You led us down this path and it was like a dead end. Now we got to go back on the main road and try to get to our final destination. Overall, that part was not fun. I don't like when the book kind of loses course or when it just, I don't know. The book was just slightly disappointing because I feel like there is potential. There is potential if people kind of take a little time, develop their characters, develop the story, give us a complete story versus four half stories and just meshing them together type thing. I understand that writing is a lucrative business. I don't know it for a fact to be true on my end. Like, I'm not making money from writing books, but many people are writing books, and it seems to be like, you can run into people and let's say 3 out of 5 people have written a book or ebook or a journal or a planner or this, that, and the other. They have some kind of hookup with Amazon. Amazon has made it where people don't have to sell out the back of their trunks no more and things like that. So writing books has become a more lucrative and kind of incentive filled business, but I feel like if people would take the time and maybe take 6 months to write the book that they are writing in 6 weeks and write like a really good book, they could make even more money because the quality will be there. And for me, this book was lacking some of that. So I think part of the reason thing with the book was that it was too many elements maybe at one time. And I don't even know if that's it. I just think it was a lack of chemistry between the characters overall. So the book had a high musical influence. Both of the characters were musicians in the book. And at times it had like a open mic, jazzy kind of vibe, almost like, I want to say Love Jones. Was it Love Jones? But just that like speak easy type of vibe from back in the day, like Neo Soul, Common, and Erica Badu, Music Soul Child. If this book had a soundtrack, wait. Let me correct that. If my version of the book or a better version of the book had a soundtrack, those artists would be on the soundtrack. Maybe even a little Neo. Or am I just saying that because Neo Soul is in the name? I don't know, but it's got that little smooth, jazzy feeling to it. But that is I think that's the vibe she was going for. Maybe that's the music she was listening to when she was writing, that sort of thing. But I don't feel like it 100% was like betrayed through the book. It's like that's the conclusion that I came to after reading the book. It's like, oh, this is supposed to be that. This is supposed to be, like open mic night, snapping the whole finger snap type thing. It's supposed to be that, right? And I'm guessing I'm right because I really don't know. But that's the vibe and the feeling that I got from it. So yeah, the book overall, I don't want to take away from it. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as it could have been. It could have been better. The author did include some current and like youthful, up to date type things, such as her own version of Instagram and TikTok. She didn't use the words Instagram or TikTok. I can't remember what she used to replace them, but you got the gist. You got the idea. It may be a sort of copyright type thing. I'm not sure, but she did include that. So that was like a youthful, current, up to date thing to include. I thought it was cute. She even had a Breakfast Club interview in the story. And if you know Breakfast Club is, trendy and for the culture. That is definitely today, up to date, I guess I should say. So the book does have that up to date, trendy vibe, but it kind of balances it with the neo soul type. I don't want to call it old school, but it is kind of old school, that little earthy vibe as well. So it did have all that, but overall, y'all, the book was boring. Boring, boring, boring. It was boring. I was really tempted while reading the book to skip pages and paragraphs just to move through the book. It was just like long-winded, but not in a way that's like adding to the story. Some authors are longer-winded, but with the information they give you, the things they tell you, it adds to the story. And in this case, this wasn't it. That's not the vibe, or that's not what the author was doing. She was just like filling up pages at that point. Like I said, the two characters, they lack chemistry. There was no whining and dining, no dates or anything like that. I feel like their first outing was to the funeral. There is a death in the story, and I know that's kind of odd or weird, but that's the first time they like made a public outing. There was no coffee dates or anything like that. And I do understand wanting to support someone during their time of loss and through grief and all that, but why would that be y'all first outing? I think in the story a little bit, they weren't letting the other one breathe during that time of loss as well. Maybe it's just me. I think a new relationship or a new like meeting, talking phase, and then somebody dying or somebody going through grief or having a hardship right afterwards, that's like a tricky area to navigate. And in my opinion, they kind of navigated this like they had been 10 years in when they hadn't. That's the vibe they was giving. It was kind of off a little bit. But overall, there was no romance, there was no passion, and I would have enjoyed to see a little bit of that, okay, in the book. Um, no whining and dining, no long stares or looking at each other, no sneak peeks, no arm rubs, no, bumping into somebody by mistake, that little silly stuff. There was none of that. It just kind of went from like a first hello straight to fucking, straight to the bedroom, straight to getting it on, getting it in, getting it on, all that stuff. But unfortunately, even that was boring, okay? Even that was boring. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't giving what it was supposed to give. The sex was boring. Now look, boring sex, whether you're reading about it or having it in real life, ain't nobody got time for boring sex. Okay, if it's gonna be boring, let's just not do it. Okay, let's just not do it. Okay. Um, to me, it read very much like a middle school health class, kind of very generic and almost sterile. It was just basic, like a kiss, and then like straight to action, straight to poking. There was no foreplay, no in between. It was just like a kiss on the cheek, and then legs just busting wide open. Like no rubbing, no caressing, no massage, no sucking, no licking. Come on. Hello, hello, hello. Are you even, I don't want to get X-rated, but are you even wet? Like, come on. He just poking you dry. That is the vibe that the book was giving, okay? Because there was no passion. If there was some passion between them, I would know that he looked at her from the other side of the room and she was like, oh, meet me in the bathroom because I'm ready. That's not the vibe. That's not the vibe that was written. Okay. Nope, 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 nope. So, like I said, straight from a little kiss on the cheek to the straight to the poking. No foreplay, nothing. Nothing that would like help with the, like maybe they didn't have, their chemistry was all in the bedroom. Maybe that's it. No, no, and no. The sex was boring too. Um If my friend was to tell me she was getting this version of sex, my heart would be broken for her. And if a man approached me this way, I'd rather not have. I'd just rather go without, honey, because it was very boring. And at one point, there was a scene that was kind of borderline rapey, kind of rapey vibes to me. And I really didn't like it because I don't like when people take out aggression in sex if it's not mutual. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be mutual. You can't just be pounding and pounding, pounding. Now, can you hear the frustration in that side? It was very frustrating. So the author either needs to not write sex scenes or learn how to allude to sex. Back in the day, in those black and white movies, they would have like a train going through a tunnel or something like that, and you did saw them kiss, but you knew what else was going on. The train through the tunnel, you knew what was going on. They didn't give you details for real, and you didn't need them. But there is a way to allude to the act of sex and allude to, the passion and the love without having to actually write the like directions or the instructions. And I feel like what she was writing in her book kind of came off more like directions or instructions versus us watching and seeing it happen. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just it didn't work for me. I will say on a good note that this book didn't have many like spelling errors and things like that. So maybe she invested in editing or she's really good with her words or whatever. But I don't know. I think you need to edit and then get like that second opinion or that first opinion. Do like a small little beta group or beta reader to know, is this giving what it's supposed to get? So you can get people's like feedback. I don't feel like anybody gave real, honest, raw feedback before this was published. Because I would have told my friend or my publishing friend I would have been like, yeah, is this what you was trying to do? Because no, 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 no. You need to rewrite it. You need to watch a movie. Or you just need to like allude to it. Have a softer scene versus okay, I'm gonna let it go. But also, I'm infamous, or I have been infamous in the past about critiquing urban fiction for its daddy, daddy, daddy. I don't like when females call their partners daddy. Okay, this may be a hint to my own daddy issues, but I don't like when the girls all call the guys daddies. Do they not have daddies? That's weird. And I said daddy issues. I have two daddies, so maybe that's it. But I just feel like that's a weird line to cross. It's a weird line, but it's in all and it's overwhelming because it's in all the books. All of the books, every one of them, except for this one, okay? So, no daddy, daddy, daddy in this book, which is wonderful. But I also didn't like the nicknames that they had in the book for each other. She called him JoJo and he called her Red. But JoJo is kind of like immature in my opinion. Unless somebody introduced themselves to you as JoJo, I'm not calling no grown man JoJo. It's weird a little bit. JoJo is like a kitty nickname, you know what I'm saying? So if my cousin's nickname was JoJo back when we was 10, and because we cousins, I still know him when we 35, maybe I would call him JoJo out of habit. But by then, isn't it shortened to at least just Joe? Like, I didn't like JoJo. I didn't like the name Joe Bias. Now, I don't know if that's a biblical name or something or what. I know Tobias as a name. I know Jacoby as a name. But Joe Bias was a first for me. I've never met anybody named Joe Bias. And it didn't come off to me as unique. It wasn't like, oh, that's a unique, just different name. It came off to me as a tongue twister that was like, just name him Joe or Joseph, Jabari, even Jabari. Like, what was, I don't know Jabias. No tea, no shade to any of the Joe biases out there in the world. And it's going to be very interesting if it is a biblical name because I don't know. I'm about to find out though. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. And according to Google, Joe bias is not a biblical name. Tobias or Tobias with a T is a biblical name. So there is a element of spirituality and religion in this book as well. So maybe that was supposed to be an influence. I don't know, but yeah, I didn't like JoJo and I didn't like Red either. And right now, as I'm reviewing it, I don't remember why I didn't like Red. Probably because it's a level of colorism there. I think her hair was red. Maybe that was it. Either way, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And they both were a little bit annoying. Y'all, this was a cute book. It wasn't horrible, but it did leave me wanting more. More from the characters and or maybe more from the author. It left me wishing more had been put into the books and to the characters before it had been published. In the right hands, I feel like this book could have been the start of a 2 or 3 part series. Like this book could have been expanded upon or extended if we got like more build up and character development. We still could have got to the ending that we got, but in book 2 instead of this book. Like 2 good books put together to make a great series. I could see it being a thing that she would maybe try to expand on this book as a series, but I really don't think that's a good idea. And I also don't want any more. If there was a book written after this book, I would not read it and I wouldn't recommend anybody to read it as well. The book ends on a quote unquote happy note, which is cool enough, but it was another moment in the book that just could have been written better. Some parts of the book seemed rushed and very like basic, just basic. Like it was rushed and it could have been bigger, more dramatic, and a little more fulfilling. And I do understand wanting to get to the point versus dragging things out, but in this book, I feel like sometimes you gotta let things marinate a little bit. And too many times when she should have been not drawing things out, that's exactly what she was doing. And some of the other times, so maybe she should have been getting to the point. That's exactly what she was not doing. So the book doesn't have balance in that kind of way. And I hate to say it, but I don't recommend this book. I don't recommend it. It's not bad. It's just not good. It could have been better. I was kind of disappointed. I was very disappointed, actually. Very disappointed in the book overall, but this was my first time reading this author, and my thoughts and feelings are that it was kind of lukewarm. I would maybe try another book by her and give it a chance, but like I said, not with these characters. And if the takeaway from another book is the same as how I feel now, then I would just know that she is not the author for me. I do know that she is published by Beloved, and Beloved's name is heavy in the streets, the reading streets, but um I can't say that I'm a fan of hers or not for real for real. I don't feel like I know her work. Like I can't tell you something that she has written right now. But I know that it's a smaller publishing house, but she has a lot of people, authors under her. And, we need to support smaller businesses. So I will give this author another chance on a different book. and I'm going to read some Beloved in the future, so we can review it here on the channel. Lastly, I do want to say that the cover art for this book was nice. Down here on my notes, I have it written that it was fire, but as I'm looking at it now, I'm just going to say that it was nice. Okay. It was nice because the cover gives a vibe that the book don't even really give, girl. Come on. But the cover is nice. It is appealing. It is a plus, a pro of the book that the cover is nice. Um but here it is. It says it doesn't seem to actually match the character. So the guy, if you're going for the book and you think this guy on the cover is going to portray the vibe of the book, not so much. This guy gave me halfway shy, halfway insecure, halfway just not a boss at all. He's a boss because he owns his own quote unquote empire, but he's kind of a little like the nerdy boss. You know what I'm saying? He's not the rough and tough boss, who used to be in the drug game. He don't give me that at all. He give me the person that went to school and came back. Like all the drug dealers paid for him to go to school, told him to, you're going to be the one, you're going to be the smart one, you're going to make it. It gives me more of that vibe than anything. I don't know. So that part was like a fail, but it's also a plus because the cover looks nice. Not a bad looking cover, but I don't know who that person is. The book didn't give the vibe of the cover overall. So yeah, I don't recommend the book for real, for real. That doesn't mean I am going to give up on this author. I will give this author another chance, but I don't want nothing to do with these characters. Nope, 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 nope. The last thing I have written here, and I'm going to include it, is that this book also had a hint of colorism that was unnecessary and did not contribute to the overall story. Wow, yeah, we gotta let the colorism go. Everybody, all the leading characters don't have to be light skinned with long hair. Can I get a brown skinned girl's love story? Okay. Anyway, we're not gonna harp on that. But that is the end of this review. If I have to give this this book a number, I guess it would be like a 2.5 out of 5. It's just right there in the middle because it gave a little bit of something, and I thought we was going to go here. We just never really got there. Never really got there. Y'all, thank you so much for getting caught up in the book with Lauren. It is so good to be back in these YouTube streets. It has been a while, but I also want you guys to know that I have also joined the TikTok streets. You can find me there at Caught Up in a Book with Lauren. I think it might be W/Lauren. Either way, it's going to be linked down in the description box as well. And I'm also on Instagram and Fanbase at Caught Up in a Book with Lauren. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have read this book, please let me know your opinion down below. If you know this author, Tatum James, and you are a fan of her work, let me know what other book I need to check out of hers below. Let me know so I can give her a second chance, because I feel like she did have the book, and the story does have potential. She's not a bad writer, and she gets buku points for not having any major grammatical errors, because honey, that's rare for real in these YouTube book reading streets. But let me know what else I need to check out of hers. The book has 4.6 stars on Amazon, and it also has 4.5 stars on Goodreads. So overall, people like the book. I don't dislike the book, but yeah, this ain't it for real, for real. Hey, if you made it this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with anyone else who shares a love of reading. And I will talk to you guys later. Happy reading, everybody. Bye-bye.